Now somebody comes to you and they're at that 700. What is the typical like timeline from start to finish to get from, from calling you guys to actually having funding that they can use?
So if they are ready to go, and if their 700 score is not being in any way depressed by having, for example, they may have a 700, but they should have a 760, but they have a late payment. We would want to get whatever those items are removed first, and that's something that we would refer them to the credit repair company, to KDM Credit Help that I just mentioned. And so that credit repair company would get those items removed, and then we would move forward on whatever, on their application batch. Now, most of the time, it's not credit repair that's holding them down. Most of the time, it might be that they need a small bridge loan, or we just move forward on a batch of funding. So if they're ready to move forward, and so let's say that they start today, and we get their reports pulled. So within a day or two, they're ready to go to applications. If they're completely ready and there's nothing we can do, and most of the time, there is something we can do to boost people's profile. Most of the time, there's something that we can do. There's a whole variety of things. You can check out our webinar. In our webinar, we cover we actually go over credit report and break it down and show people what they can do to help increase their scores. And so if there's nothing that we can do, then in that case, we can move forward on the applications. Within 4 or 5 days, the decisions are already coming in. And I just went through this process. So when they applied, it was within 3 days, I had all the decisions. So then after that, now the accounts are being bumped up. Like I had an account that came in at 40, and then they negotiated up to 45. Yeah. And so now I'm waiting because they're going to do more negotiations. So
we had a woman a while back that like her first round was like 44 or something like that. And then you guys like negotiated up to like 82 or something crazy like that. So like, how does that work? Like you guys just call for the client and say that they're such a cool person, they need more money than this or something, or how does that process work?
Well, our clients are cool. So
right, exactly. Yeah.
We just call in and it's like, you know how cool these guys are? Right. But so that's one of the things that we mentioned. But then some of the other things that we mentioned are their business metrics, their stats, what the client has going on, their report. If there's any detractors, we'll preemptively bring that up to the underwriter. We know how to speak to the underwriter, and you'd be surprised at how many times the underwriter simply needs to verify who the person is. With all the new regulations surrounding terrorism and fraud, they really, a lot of times, many times, maybe 30, 40% of the time, it's just getting the right documents. Easy stuff. And then there's a percentage of the time where our knowledge really comes in handy, where we know what to ask for, how to talk to the underwriter, because we know exactly what they're looking for. We know exactly what they're looking for. So we're presenting it in such a way where we're exemplifying all the client's positive attributes while minimizing their negative attributes so that we can get approved for as much as possible. And so for the client that got the 40, then it doubled, it went up to 80. So when they first applied, multiple cards might have come in at 5 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand. And then our negotiators are calling the bank, they're explaining the client's business model, and they're saying, we need more. And so over that period of time, that could add an additional week on. So they might have got the first 40,000 within the first week, but then they continue the negotiations, and the negotiations could spill over into week number 2, sometimes even week number 3, because our team is calling the bank and speaking to the underwriters up to 7 times on each credit account. And this is really critical because all of the big banks have multiple call centers. And what we can't get in one, usually we can call others and get. The ones that are in different, this region are known for that, and the one in that region is known for this. And so what we do is we work tirelessly to get the client as much funding as possible through that negotiations process.